Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah, that's
dun.
that's too much.
And also I talk sort of like that, don't I? So yeah, that's me.
And that's me. Yeah, that's all right actually. No.
What about for you, Russell?
That feels. You sound nice.
What about Gareth?
How do I sound to you, Ross?
Actually, quite nice.
Okay, I won't be.
Okay?
I won't be coming up from that. That's my.
That's as far as. That's the extent of your ambitions.
It really is.
You're happy to settle for just not being relegated, but
Yeah.
you're not even fighting for European places.
Because this is TMI and not for a podcast necessarily, although who really cares? Who can say? But sometimes when I get chatting to people, I'm on a dating app, and sometimes the relationship will get to the point where you go, shall we cross over to WhatsApp? It's always that awful moment where it's just become so like, shall we move off this app? And you go to WhatsApp, and then you start leaving voice notes, and I think people get quite shocked by how dull I sound.
No, they don't.
They do. They say, I get one back saying things like, "Ooh, well, that was a surprise," and people say, "I didn't expect you to sound like that. You sound either very relaxed or very bored." I think that's basically what comes across.
Perhaps you're just trying not to give too much. I mean, I think what people might be surprised by, if they don't know you, is that you're very handsome.
Oh, right.
So it might be like, they probably think that you're going to be like this. Hey, baby! Thanks for letting me cross the WhatsApp line.
Yeah.
In the real world, what is crossing what's the equivalent of crossing from dating app to WhatsApp line?
God, what would that be?
Like a hand upon the leg?
Yes, I think it would be some physical.
It's a physical equivalency.
Yeah, I think it would be, and it doesn't transition all that well because over text, you can still fake a personality, whereas at WhatsApp voice note you can't really fake yourself.
Do you find yourself that you leave one and then throw it in that little bin?
I have thrown many in the bin. Yeah.
I try not to throw though in that little bin or WhatsApp,
Yeah, the only ones I throw in the bin are when I get froggy throat.
Froggy, like something gets caught on
your
throat.
No,
Hello, thanks for letting me cross over to WhatsApp with you.
Yeah.
Oh, it's my singular honour.
It's like that, and then I think I can probably get away with one, but if one, I don't think that in the first few seconds of a voice note you want to hear a potential romantic interest clearing his throat.
Once you're in the dating world and you're like, there's a sort of there's a tech component, does it make you sort of lazy? Is it like the dishwasher of dating? Like you never go back. Although I always do wash using my hands.
You don't stack the dishwasher?
I don't like it. I think you go to all that trouble stacking it. There's such a system in place. You've got to scrape stuff off it anyway. I'd rather wash it with my own hands, have it in control. Like when I was camping just the other week, I was proud to go over to that camping sink with a basin full of stuff. And
I understand it. Yeah, there's when I lived in Bethnal Green, when we were doing the Trues, I lived in a flat for 3.5 years. And the dishwasher was as new when we left as it was when we got there. Just didn't ever use it once. We just stacked loads of... Because I think there's a sense of pride as a man. There's very few things domestically that I can claim to have, to be good at. There's DIY, all of those kind of things. Whereas washing dishes, I can do. You create your own order of it. And I think if you suddenly take that away with a dishwasher, there's a wasp in here now.
Don't worry about it.
They
won't do anything.
No, it's true actually.
They'll just fly around. So one time I had 14 hornets in my room.
Yeah.
I mean, I counted them.
Is that a euphemism?
I've still not recovered. I'm still on tablets for it. I had 14 hornets in my room, and a hornet is a very big wasp.
Yeah, David Attenborough. Well, let's scrap the football. We're doing nature.
I know so much about it. For a hornet is a very big wasp. That's the end of it. Some people don't care for my David Attenborough.
It's a weird one. What does it actually sound like?
It's like that's like you when you're doing your WhatsApp messages. Hello, I'm single and I'm ready to mingle. So look, we're in the liminal space. We're between the Euros. It was an interesting, giddy, euphoric ride. Like it was the first bit of the Euros I see as the usual ride of England in a football tournament. Like, oh, who cares? This is stupid, right? Oh, it's boring. We're not doing good enough in the group. then hold on a minute, we've beaten Germany. We're the best team in the world. Like, even though there are sort of variations, I think because of sort of social inflections and stuff that have come about, Gareth Southgate's letter, the way that Gareth Southgate's generally perceived, the sort of cultural and political fissures that are going on. Like, it felt in a way all those things were different to do with, say you could say about wokeness, left v right, all of those kind of ideas. But fact is, a bloody football tournament's about nations. An international one is by its very definition about nations. Like, but as a more general thing, it was a sort of same old kind of experience of a football tournament, of like that sort of mad. Like, do you ever talk to like a Scottish person about like our?
Oh, I try not to.
No, I avoid it wherever possible. Like, because, but when you talk to them, they say like the thing about the English people, you get so excited and so over the top about it, is it makes us hate you. And plus, politically, you oppressed us and murdered us.
Yeah, there are loads of reasons, aren't there?
You're obsessed with that wasp, aren't you?
Well, it's unnerving.
Well, all it is just an eerie presence. And you've been working with me for long enough, surely.
It's true. I don't think you could...
I don't even think it's a wasp.
Is it not?
No.
A hoverfly or something.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh,
the only insects you need fear, mate, are those horseflies.
Yeah, I know.
Those bastards, man. And guess what I've got now? A suction cup. Like,
in case you get stung.
It's brilliant. That was why we purchased it, but I tell you, it's got a multitude of uses. You put the cup on your skin and then you sort of pump it like this with a couple of little finger pumps, and it sucks up a portion of your skin up into the cup like a little minion. You know the Minions?
Yeah, well, I do, mate.
Yeah.
From those brilliant films.
That's right. Very well voiced. And it sucks it up there, and like it pulls out the precious juices within.
I know what you're like. You're almost inviting to be stung, aren't you? You want people to sting you. People? Insects.
Insects primarily. And like, because you can suck out that juice. Now, I've tried it in a variety of other things, sort of little pimples, whatever. It shouldn't really be...
Does it work on spots?
It depends how thick the layer of skin is over it. There's only so much you can give it to do, You can't, like, this isn't a powerful vacuum. It's a miniature vacuum. Why are you shaking your head over there, Ginger Ramone? That's our producer, Jenny.
Spots, no. Don't go there. It's going to get weird.
Yeah, it's unpleasant. It's uncomfortable. We'll get into that territory.
Russell always needs a thing.
No, we don't want this to be we don't want this to be the thing.
Yeah, it will be though for a while. They used to have these little sticks that numbed his mouth.
Nummy stick.
And he was as much as a man can be addicted to little sticks. He was. What was even in that? What was that liquid? But
some kind of numbing
snap
agent.
It or something, wouldn't you, in your mouth?
Snap it. It's like an earbud.
It was always photos of you with sticks in your mouth. That's what you were doing. You were numbing yourself.
Yeah. That's how I coped with life. Numb yourself.
Numbing sticks.
It was like an earbud.
Yeah, that's
and I think the Americans, do they call them Q-tips? I don't know. It's like an earbud, and you snapped its little end off, and inside was precious juice. Now, that precious juice would run over the gums and numb you. Yeah. And that was enough for me.
Could you speak?
Life. Oh, yeah, it doesn't affect you. It's just a small amount of, like, cocaine.
It's not heroin.
I know, but if it numbs your gums, what does it make you feel?
It's not like when you lose complete control over your mouth as a result of a stroke or a dental appointment.
What does it feel like?
It's nice, and the taste of it was nice, and well, obviously, what I was trying to do was euphorically recall days of cocaine misuse. That's obviously what I was up to, and the peak use of that was during the film Arthur. So,
height of your film success.
I couldn't do cocaine to celebrate that I'd become a film star. So what I'd done was the old nummy sticks and numbed my mouth out. And some might argue, particularly film critics, that it negatively impacted.
No.
Thank you.
Whereas the rest of us would say the opposite.
Yeah, that it was a roaring success. So anyway, look,
football.
Football. And let's forget sucking instruments for now. Let's bring our focus to. Did you think did you think it was a distinct and different tournament? Because we're in this podcast, we're going to talk about football. We're going to talk about football culture. We're going to talk about the Premier League. We're lifelong football fans. We're going to talk about football. We're not experts in formations and tactics. We are experts at playing the game of football, of course. I'm a brilliant footballer, as you.
Oh.
Did you know Gareth gave me one-on-one football lessons before?
Lessons?
I'd call them lessons.
I think, yeah, they were.
What was the lesson?
Well, we
be better at football.
We did little routines and passed to each other. And
when I think about that, I nearly cry.
It was really lovely.
Gareth was showing me how to play football.
There was a point in Russell's life where he decided, as an adult man, I want to be able to play football to a certain level. And I mean, don't claim to be a great footballer, but what little I know, I tried to impart onto Russell. We had a very fun afternoon, actually.
Did we only do one lesson?
I met one or two. There weren't as many. It wasn't like a year. We didn't do a season-long training scheme
camp
or anything.
Do you think people in general have a tendency to say things like "I used to" when in fact they did that thing once?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so as well. Watch out for that.
I used to be happy.
I used to believe in the possibility of this podcast. Yeah. Yeah, well, I enjoyed them training drills that may only have happened twice. When it comes down to brass tacks, you're quite good at football. Jenny, I think, is pretty bloody good at football, aren't you, Jen?
We used to play, speaking of
we
trues.
Did it once.
Oh, was it once? There you go.
Aha! It's a phenomenon. It's the old used to's.
Yeah, we kicked the football outside Cotton's
Was it
Gardens.
once? Yeah, outside your gaff in East London, during little breaks that Jen and I needed.
Mental breakdowns.
Could call them that. Yeah, we'd go out and kick a ball around, a little plastic ball in the street opposite that modelling agency. I think secretly I was probably hoping that some models
but
would...
It wasn't an ideal road, it had cobbles.
Yeah, cobbles, and it was on a slope.
Yeah.
It wasn't ideal.
Slopey cobbles. Sounds like the name of a Victorian villain. And also the setting of a Victorian
It really
show.
was.
And that's where you two went outside and played football.
Yeah, rather than a fag break, we'd do little kicky breaks, you know. But those were our credentials anyway. So on with the football podcast.
Was Jenny good? Can you do?
She was good. She was great. Yeah.
What do you mean? Keepy ups or
I like
ball
keepy
control?
uppies.
Cruyff turn. How many keepy ups can you do?
Once I did 81.
Well, that's actually brilliant.
That's incredible.
That's brilliant. There should be a documentary about you.
Yeah.
And I've thought that
Oh,
for a
we
while.
switch places and Jen hosts
I
this.
don't know anything about English football.
No,
That's
you're
all right.
an Irish person.
Yeah.
And did you do Gaelic football?
Yeah.
Did you do hurling?
No, I wasn't allowed because it would injure my hands for Gaelic football.
Don't wiggle your fingers like that as if you're a genius, as if you're the fella out of that Bumblebee film.
Because
Shiny.
they hit your hands with the sticks in hurling.
She wiggled her fingers like, I couldn't because I made a damage to my fingers. Like, they're not, they don't look at them like they're the precious gems,
They were
the crown
precious.
jewels of Ireland.
They were precious.
I don't agree with
I
that.
had to catch the ball and wasn't allowed.
So Jenny's actually a good athlete, and also Jenny's actually very fit, aren't you, Jen?
Sometimes.
There you go, for periods of fitness. But now you've taken to wearing these sort of Phil Spector style dark glasses. You've got the haircut of a Ramon. You've got the glasses of Phil Spector, and like probably to accompany this, we'll do photos and images of you. Why have you become like this? Do you think?
Depression.
Depression, because you live on the edge of the earth, don't you? She lives in Lowestoft, Gal. Do you know that?
No, yeah.
Alone in a big house.
Yeah.
And like just looking out over the East Anglian coastline, thinking your thoughts.
That's basically it. Driving my car.
You've got that fancy car, of course. All right.
Yeah.
Still, the glasses I think they give you an aura.
An aura of what?
I don't know.
If someone met you now, they might mistake you for a cool person.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling me cool.
Mistakenly, you said.
Mistakenly, Jen. This is a naive person, potential listener to this podcast. Look, please answer my question.
Let's do it.
This is what it's like dealing with.
I know. This is where we try and do our work. We come in here to try and record some videos.
We're trying to make the videos. Gareth makes all the videos that I make on YouTube. Jen makes Under the Skin and Above the Noise, my podcast on Luminary. And because it takes so long, because me and Gareth talk about football. One time, what we're going to do next, talk at length about Davos, where we're supposed to be doing a football podcast. We'll talk about the Great Reset. I'll talk about the anomalies in legislation around the pandemic.
We just won't get on with our work.
Let's just get on with our work. Yeah. Did you think that when it comes down to brass tacks, in this Liminals, I ask you again, I'm secretary, did you think that it was a normal football tournament?
Do you know what? I think I did. I think I had a bit of an interesting experience for me with this tournament in that I recognise that the experience of watching probably football anyway, generally, but certainly international football had become less exciting over the years. You know, we were kids, Italia 90, 96, all of that. You know, there was a real, I mean, again, whether it's just nostalgia or not, but, you know, I felt it, I went through it. And lately, I think international football just hasn't been the same. And so I was I thought to myself, right, I'm really going to have to ramp myself up for this, which I did.
How did you ramp yourself?
How
does one even begin to
just
ramp?
By committing to watching as much as possible. I thought, here we go, let's just watch as much as possible and let's hope it's a good tournament, which I really think it was.
Group of 16 is where I like.
I know, I remember.
Sort of, like round of 16, excuse me. That's when I got like. That's when I sort of like.
Yeah, you text me to say, I'm in now.
I'm in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's when I got in, and that was actually when, but like it was building up to England Germany. That's when I sort of made a commitment to that tournament. That's when I sort of thought, all right, now I'm in. I enjoyed it, but like he's done that same thing. Not only the crushing defeat of ultimately losing on penalties, albeit in the final, then the sort of weird emergence of the like, oh, those people rushed the stadium, destruction of murals. It's sort of like it all got taken apart. It was like some glorious orgasmic crescendo. Like, do you remember the feeling of the day of the final? Like switching, like in my case, I was watching it at home, switching between the ITV coverage and the BBC coverage, looking at Wembley Way all packed with people. I was like, oh my God, I think I'm going to have to go down or something. I mean, this is paradise. This is the rapture. And then, like, afterwards, it's like, it made me look at it from a psychological perspective. It's like, it will cast a shadow. If you take people that high, that, you know, proper, like some sort of Icarus myth, if you fly that close to the sun, there's going to be some terrible disaster. And it was like the joy had to be unpicked afterwards. It had to all been torn apart.
Yeah, because what's it covering up? That's the thing. You know, we live on this wave of optimism for a few weeks. It probably kicked in after beating Croatia, to be honest. You know, it was like a good start to the tournament. Then there was Scotland, which was a bit of a low. But after that, it was, you know, it's all pretty positive. And then, you know, you even had the high of the Denmark game, the big win against Ukraine. I mean, all the elements were there to suggest it's different this time. It really is different this time. And I just think it was inevitable, you know. It would be really interesting to see what would have happened if we'd have won. What would life be like now? We'd still be talking about it? Of course we would. But what would have happened? Would none of the negatives have come out? What would have happened with the fans rushing?
England have won the Euros, and now no one's racist no more.
That's right.
And it doesn't matter if some fans rush Wembley. Who gives a shit?
Yeah.
People are going to rush places from time to time.
Showed a bit of gumption. That's the old spirit.
That's what won us Dunkirk. What did we do at that beach? We rushed it. We went there and we got our boys back.
Yeah, exactly. So, I don't know. I think, you know, ultimately that loss and then the fallout afterwards, it's the same every time, isn't it? I mean, we've grown up with this kind of this dichotomy of English football, of you know, the dreadful things that have happened in stadiums and all sorts of negatives that admittedly have happened in other countries as well, but have been especially bad in this country. And I think what's amazing about supporting England and English football in general is that we are always looking for the next positive, aren't we? And I think along with Southgate and things that he installed, and it did feel like there's a new hope. And I still think it's there. I mean, you know, I was going to ask you, you know, whether you felt you'd recovered yet, because like I still got mates who, when I speak to them every few weeks, they're like, "Oh, how are you feeling about England?" Like a month later, and I still feel like I haven't quite. That's why I'm dying for the new season to kick off, to kind of put an end to it.
I used the cut-off technique.
Did you, mate?
I use it always. Like, what happened is like, well, as soon as Bukayo Saka's penalty was saved, that's it. Zoom, shut down. Emotional shutdown. I've got systems in place for this. I've had my heart broken a lot of times. Yep. I've experienced a lot of disappointment. Shut down. But a lot of it comes from football. You know, like say if you're watching, like, you know, of course you do. Like, you know, I can't imagine the exact type of game it might be as a whole City fan. But like West Ham, say if you're watching West Ham Spurs, and it's like, you know, like, oh, 1-0 Spurs, 1-0. Like I remember like a game that, in some ways epitomised this, was just like the time we had Carlos Tevez. Spurs eventually won the game 4-3, and I think I missed going to Wales to do a gig that night. I was meant to be going to Wales to do a show, but it was such a gripping game. It's like the old Upton Park Spring, I know, 10 years ago, I don't know, I can't work it out, but it's the season before Tevez went to United, right? Like the investment, the level of investment of, yes, West Ham are going to win, yes, fuck you Spurs, lasagna, yes, this is amazing, right? It was that lasagna season as well. It was, I think that meant, oh no, I'm getting confused, but anyway, there was a lot of excitement, and ultimately Tottenham won 4-3, and you have to do this thing where you mentally just go like the cut down, the shut off.
Yeah,
like
it's your train tracks method, isn't it?
What, rip up the train tracks?
Yeah, rip up the train tracks.
I don't like the train tracks being ripped up, by the way. The train tracks method, it's mostly, for those of you that are not familiar, is like that, when you if you're going to marry someone, say, or whatever, you obviously imagine a future with that person. Like, we're getting married, this is going to happen, we're going to have kids or not have kids, or we're going to live here, we're going to live there, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. And then none of that happens because it's all gone terribly wrong. So there's that moment where you're on a cliff edge. Then you've just got to shut it down. And that's what I feel like, because of being a West Ham fan, because there are, moments of glimpses of glory, tastes of joy. Like, we had to do it in the previous season when it looked like West Ham, West Ham had won that game against Newcastle. There was a run where it's like, oh my God, West Ham keep winning these games.
They're actually going to get in the Champions League.
We're going to get in the Champions League. This is stupid. This is so stupid and mental. I do like football. I have to go in and out of cutting myself off from it because I can't cope with pain. I'm not very good at it.
Yeah.
So as soon as that happened, I felt all those feelings. It's the exact same feeling watching the penalty shootout. You're up and down on the sofa. You're feeling like, oh my God, is it and then you sort of in my case, normally explaining as someone who knows less about football than me, which is surely a small demographic, but regardless, I have me going, no, right, no, if we miss this one, it's over, or no, they have to score that one, and then it's over, and when that sort of happens, you just have to go, oh, okay, that's happened now.
Yeah.
I mean, can't you do the old shut-offs?
Oh, I find it very hard, actually, in all aspects of my life. Relationships,
you've got the lingerers, haven't you?
Football, I do. Yeah, I really do. The worst one was Hull being 2-0 up against Arsenal in the FA Cup final.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was truly
must have been
awful.
Painful. And then they got 2 late goals, and then how did they win?
They won in extra time, 3-2. We almost went 3-0 up. It was clearance off the line from an Alex Bruce, of all people, header. And that was painful because...
Why does that matter? Alex Bruce, did he play for
Hull? Because it was, Steve Bruce's son. So it was beautiful, the idea that his son could have won the FA Cup for us and all of that. It was,
You like that beauty and poetry.
Oh, yeah. And I love Steve Bruce anyway. I've got deep affection.
Even outside of that.
I just think he's great. I think if we start losing football managers like Steve Bruce, then I don't know where football's going. We need him. He gets a lot of stick, doesn't he? But I think he's a wonderful guy.
Is it because he writes those detective stories?
It's partly that, yeah.
So tell people about that in case they don't know.
Well, yeah, so I can't remember the details of the main character, but yeah, no, I think it's been spoken about a lot, and they've covered this on the Guardian Football podcast, but Bruce has written, detective stories.
So that in itself is quite beautiful that he has that aspect of his personality.
That he's gone home and thought, I need something else other than the football. And
to go through it, because it's actually quite hard to write a book,
right?
And then to sort of go, actually, like what you would expect if Steve Bruce or Ron Atkinson or anyone from that sort of era, or sort of around then, would go, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna write a novel about a novel about a detective. Right, it was a difficult day out there in Tyneside. Crime hung heavy in the air. Oh, fuck this. I can't be bothered. But he actually carried it right the way through to getting it published. And did a series, I believe.
There's a few of them, yeah. And I think the idea is that he imagines himself as the lead detective.
Is it written in the first person? I
don't know. I have to confess, I've never actually read them. I think... I think it was pre-Hull City. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to make good on my commitment to read the works of Dostoevsky before I start ploughing into Steve Bruce. So I start Crime and Punishment once in a while. Right, come on, read it. Everyone says it's important. And do you know the same thing happens to me every time? This ain't the language he wrote in. How do we know this is what he meant? I can't stop myself thinking it and then I put it down again. I'll only read English.
All backs of books.
I'll read them.
Yeah.
Lorca, anyone. Back of his book.
Yeah, that's a skill in itself, I think.
Yeah, so Alex Bruce clears off the line or scores in this?
No, Alex Bruce, so that would have made it 3-0, and so I think that's unassailable lead in an FA Cup final. I think we'd have shut shop at that point. And then,
although West Ham did come back from 3-0 against Spurs only last season, but this is
true,
an FA Cup
final.
Wembley.
I just think that was it. And then I didn't celebrate. That was looking back now, I feel a bit sad that I didn't celebrate the first 2 goals because I just thought you can't get carried away with this. It's the old train tracks, and
train tracks.
And then, inevitably they came back, and it's just that moment of thinking, just imagining Hull City lifting the FA Cup was inconceivable.
Would it have mattered that much because you'd still have global warming.
Yeah, well, that's the thing.
I mean, like, so actually, less than that, like, Wigan and, like, cups. When a lesser team wins the cup, don't happen very often.
Yeah.
But it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
Does it matter?
I think it does. I mean, for the fans, I think it does. Ultimately, we've been relegated twice since then. And if we could look back and say, it doesn't matter, we won the FA Cup that day, that would have been all we need. I think that would have kept most Hull City fans going for life.
I think that obviously it's a well-covered territory that the FA Cup, the domestic cup of the English League or England, is like been sort of sabotaged. And it's a sort of shame because when I used to read like Shoot or Roy the Rovers or football-related content as a child, the FA Cup was almost regarded as more important, which in a sense seems a bit sort of silly. But I suppose it was because of the glory.
Yeah.
The glory, like I suppose international football has that, in a tournament football in general has that, like the sort of, oh my God, there is going to be a result. Because if you think about it, say if you're going to watch like last season, City versus Liverpool, right? If Liverpool win this, then they still in it, or if City win that, and then it's a draw.
Yeah.
Like, this is bullshit.
Yeah, all the build-up. And
then
it's left with a bit of a flat atmosphere, yeah.
And you start to realise that the hyperbole is actually what you're now being sort of sold. And it is very seductive and very beautiful. But the cup, when you see like them old school things, people with rattles and that, and people spilling onto like Wembley and the White Horse final and all that kind of stuff, it's a carnival. And like you said, like earlier, a minute ago, mate, when you said about, in the end, what's it covering up? Like that tournament like functioned as a kind of healing moment, and that was clear. But a tournament cannot actually heal. No. It can conjure up. I mean, in a way, like a culture is a myth. It's a faith-based system. Oh, we're England. Let's get into it. This is beautiful, and it was lovely for a moment that worked. But the sort of the rejection of it subsequently was, in a sense, it was, because mine's not negativity. I don't sort of go around saying football's pointless, I hate football. And maybe for 1 minute I say, why do I get drawn into this with West Ham? Why do I get drawn into this with England? Why do I, I do sort of say them things for a moment. But like the subsequent sort of campaign of condemnation, the sort of the vivifying and sort of like someone made a kind of an interesting point. Like when like a streaker runs on the pitch, and I think one did in the final.
They did, yeah.
They don't show it.
They don't show it anymore.
Which I liked the streaker.
Of course.
It was good, wasn't it? It was funny, but they don't show the streaker because don't encourage the streaker.
I know. I don't think it would.
It's not that big of a deal, is it, to streak?
I don't think you'd see, dozens and dozens of streakers.
Streaking's brilliant.
Like they say about, I don't know, video game violence or things like that. It's that old thing of it only encourages them kind of thing. I just don't think, I think you're either going to streak or you're not. I don't think there's a moment where you go, oh, okay.
There must be, Gareth, a demographic of borderline streakers.
Borderline streakers.
That this is a great name for a band. And these borderline streakers, if they see a streak and they're like, hang on a minute, if this guy or gal can streak, then why the hell can't I streak?
Yeah.
And it might push them over the edge. And the glory of that. I mean, it's just weird, isn't it? Because now you see the shots of people like the sort of like, I feel like I saw like a close up of, I don't know, like Declan Rice or some sort of wryly smiling.
Yeah.
Like they even appreciate it.
But not even the commentators mention it anymore. That you have to work it out yourself as to what's happening. And it's a little bit like for a moment you kind of, what on earth's going on? Why are they just panning to different football players with strange expressions on their face? Like something bad happened. I think that's the thing now is what's happened. I'm worried something's happened. And then
there is that trepidation. Some people said that like that's what you should do about like sort of racism. Like if it's a marginal group of like sort of, it's not like quite clearly in the last 5 years, 10 years, 100, 200, 400 years has shown us there is necessarily a conversation about racial relationships that has to take place. But by sort of focusing, celebrating it, I think it does cause, I think it makes things worse, not better.
Yeah, I mean, they've said the same about, I mean, don't want to stray necessarily into this topic, but the terrorist attacks, haven't they? That the news, although
something might have happened today.
Yeah,
there's a bit of a mess over there. Look, there's just a picture of Declan Rice like shaking. That should have been bad. No, that weren't good.
But it's whether or not I can see that can apply to lone terrorist attacks. Whether it applies to streaking is, I think, another question. Maybe it does. Maybe everything's on a scale.
How bad streaking?
How bad is it anyway?
I think You know, like when someone runs on the pitch generally, if it's not if it's like hijinks, like spirits, you know, when you see some old school stuff on like Hereford beat Arsenal or Newcastle, like, you know, whenever like those cup upset type things, I like seeing someone in flares run on the pitch and cause a little bit of disruption.
Well, they're the bits that when you watch highlight shows of
that's what they show.
70s, it's always those bits, or like a cat runs on the pitch or something like that.
Balloon. I
mean, a balloon. That's
hey!
like, I mean, wow!
That plucky balloon, that could be me! Yeah.
Like, so don't stop.
Celebrate them. Praise them like you should. Like,
well, what are we gonna? We're taking everything that's, you know, cultural and fun out of the game. I mean, it's what are they going to show? What are the highlights going to be in 10 years' time?
We've achieved a joyless trudge through reality. 22 athletes trained to the peak of physical fitness who give exactly the same interview after every single game. Good night. It was a 0-0 draw. We can confirm that now with VAR. Like a little bit. I suppose. Look, you know, like the fundamental idea of like. One of the things I think is beautiful about football is that we accept the rules. Like, it's like, okay, for 11 minutes, I'm going to be seduced into this is reality, and that somehow my life is going to be better if this result. You know, that's the central premise, isn't it? And like, but like, if at any point, like, you know, like, imagine if, like, sort of, I don't know, if Harry Kane or Raheem Sterling just went, hold a minute. This is sort of pointless. You know, this is pointless. What difference does it make? It's not going to feed a single child, or maybe my child. It doesn't change the world. In a sense, it's just advancing sort of capitalist ideas around competition. The sport's been commodified. It's lost touch with its roots. What's the point of all of this?
I don't think that's going to get on a highlights reel.
Hey! Shrieker! You know, like that. Yeah, like it's like we accept that, and in a way we do that in everyday life as well. Like, because of like the sort of the fact that we're all falling towards death, you know, like every single, like even doing this, you know, what shouldn't we all be spending our time suspended in a meditative state, preparing for the inevitability of death? Like, you know, like football, it's joyful because you enter into it. When the more you extract the sort of the elements, like, you know, like an element of chaos has crept in. That is someone on a paraglider paraglides down. A dog runs on the pitch. Like it's, I feel like. You know, it's a bit sort of ascetic, astringent, joyless and puritanical to not give the streaker their moment.
Absolutely agree. I mean, they look back now at Cantona kicking that fan as like, remember when that happened? It was like, at the time, obviously it was, you know.
I liked it a bit at the time, didn't you?
I think everyone did.
Because it's like, good.
Yeah.
Like, I mean... Like, don't you think, like, why are we pretending we're so angry? That guy was probably being abusive to Eric Cantona. Yeah. Eric Cantona's not the sort of person who stands for that. He's made that perfectly clear. Did you ever see that? I think I sent it to you. There's this amazing clip of Lee Sharp, who does, like, like after dinner talks. Yeah. And he, like, they said Brian Robson was still in the team apparently then. After that's sort of my memory, I don't remember it that way. There's all sorts of things. My memory.
I know, because Brian Robson seems like a different
back era, doesn't he? Yeah. I feel like they both wore 7 and stuff like that, and it's confusing.
It's like
for
when
me.
Gary Neville talks about playing with Dennis Irwin. I'm like, Dennis, how
does this all work? Yeah. Of course, then Nobby Styles would come on. I'll say it, Bobby Charlton. You know, but Bobby, you're gonna have to drop a bit deeper if we're gonna.
George Best was drunk again.
Oh, come on, George! You got so much talent. What is it? So much of talent's destroying you, George. It's like the gift itself has become. Yeah, that's what I reckon. It probably is that. What I was saying. Lee Sharp. Very sharp.
That story, because it is a great story.
It is a good story. Lee Sharp said that after that, like they were away at Silhurst Park, and Cantona kicked that fan. He said, like, they were all really excited to get back in the dressing room because they thought, oh, Ferguson is going to tear him a new one. This is going to be amazing. And like apparently when they were in the dressing room, they were always excited. There was a hush silence and looking forward to seeing Eric Cantona get told off. Apparently went round everyone, didn't he? He goes, what the fuck was that from you? You need to be more responsible. Track back, for Christ's sake, when you call that pressing, what's wrong with you? And Eric, you can't do that, son.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
So lovely, because they're like, I guess that's the part of the genius of man management. I've always, as a football fan, fetishized the manager, perhaps above all else. Our friend David Baddiel, and sort of of course, great football figure David Baddiel, said that. Like, it's because of my sort of a father complex that the manager is a de facto father. Certainly they are a leader, and look at the sort of narratives that played out around Gareth Southgate. But like what I like, with Ferguson, he obviously knew this person, you ball them out. This person, like Eric Cantona, is some sort of weird poet man. You can't shout at him; he won't like it.
Yeah, I think there's a kind of reductive aspect of analysing football managers. And with Ferguson, it's always, he was, a hard man, like, Shankly and managers like this that football managers can't be like that anymore. It's about putting your arm around players. But I think that's reductive. I don't think that's true. I think obviously Ferguson had that in him, but so does Klopp now. Some of the craziness that you see from Klopp, especially last season when Liverpool weren't doing so well. It's that ability, I think, with probably all of them. I imagine the same was true of Shankly, of knowing how to get the best out of every player. And obviously with Cantona, the answer to that wasn't to, nail him to the wall or throw a hairdryer at him. It was to...
Don't you throw the hairdryer at them.
Right.
You are the hairdryer.
Oh, you are the hairdryer.
Yeah,
I always get mixed up between...
hairdryer is like...
You're
like
right.
It's a hot blast.
I get mixed up between the hairdryer treatment and when he kicked that
teacup
bottle or teacup at Beckham. Was it teacup at Beckham when it...
I thought it was a teacup he kicked at Beckham.
Yeah. So I get those two mixed up. You don't actually
and what about the
kick
pizza?
There you go.
A lot of the funny little objects in the mythology of United around that time.
That's right.
It was either a bottle or I thought like it was a teacup.
I think you might be right because it cut him, didn't it? Everyone always goes about the cut that was above his eye or something.
Yeah. I don't think he deliberately did it sort of like a pinball, like a sort of a focused attack, like a karate kick.
No.
Wow, like snooker. Like I'll kick the teacup will hit the air dryer. Like one of them Doc Brown's machines that wakes up Martin McFly every morning.
No.
Or Wallace and Gromit machines.
Yeah.
If that's what you want. That's the thing that people like, complex machines.
Look, we haven't talked about the new season at all. I mean, we've partly covered England, I think, maybe. Is that enough?
We've touched upon the idea of managers. Like, manager is a visionary.
Yes.
Like all leaders. A manager presents a vision and then makes you believe in that vision. And you need look no further than the decline of United post-Ferguson to recognise that what was created this is what we are. We are this vision. And sometimes that vision is just an illusion because the primary function of football clubs these days, of course, is to function as a successful business. And if you've got to run parallel lines, you've got to run the idea, how are we going to make this team believe in itself? For a minute I thought that Klopp was going to be building a legacy Liverpool. Now I think that their one season win might be a kind of a blip. And my concerns are, as you've now turned the subject to the forthcoming Premier League season, that if City do indeed sign Kane and Grealish, that's a done deal. It's like a monopoly. That's too. I think even if I support it's different, isn't it? But for the purposes of a conversation and argument, you don't want one team that's that good. That's too much. That I wanted. I know a player like Kane is not going anywhere other than sort of up. So I'd rather he went to United, or not Chelsea, but I'd rather he went to United, and I'd rather Grealish went to another one, so you feel like there's an enjoyable element of competition.
Yeah, I think for me, you could argue obviously the dominance of United in the 90s, but even then it wasn't about buying every player. You look back at the transfer policy of Ferguson and he always, brought in brilliant players and replaced players that left, but it wasn't about buying every good player in the league, or all the best players in the league. It was about bringing through the youth, being very specific about the player that you needed to fill a certain position. And it feels like if Man City go out and buy, especially Grealish, I think I kind of just about get that, Aguero's left and you need to replace him. Jesus has probably not got enough necessarily, certainly to win the Champions League, but probably to win the league. They could stroll the league, I'm sure. But Grealish seems like, how many attacking midfielders do you want? They've got so many, and that feels greedy. That just feels like you're buying Grealish to deny other big teams Grealish. And I think it's cynical, and I don't, as much as for Grealish himself, you kind of want, especially because he's lovable, isn't he, Grealish, as mad as he has been in the past.
What is he, somehow, he's sexy or something?
He's got the sex appeal, certainly, but it's weird those players that, heterosexual men kind of, even if they're pretty boys, because Beckham probably wasn't adored by...
He was despised.
Men. He was despised,
for a long time. He was despised for doing his hair in that same World Cup. He'd done his hair at half time, someone pointed out. And
which they all do now.
You've got to do your hair. second half. This is the matinee performance for the second half. This is the climax of the game. Obviously the Simeone kick, and then that whole effigies being hung in a sarong.
Unbelievable.
That was like what a comeback.
Yeah.
From Beckham to become sort of if he's not, he'd be knighted when he eventually and. But
Grealish is the right side of that at the moment. You could say that if he goes to a big team, that maybe if he went to a Man City or a Chelsea or something, that he might be a more hated figure by other fans. Whereas Villa is okay, isn't it? It's a bit like I don't know, Letitia or something, kind of club legends at smaller teams. Is everyone go, I love Matt Letitia.
If you think of cult heroes, i.e. players that are not just based on absolute supremacy, the qualifying attributes are things like, I think, like either you get someone like say Julian Dix, who's like grit and hardness.
Yep.
And then the other thing is like people that sort of seem to understand the beauty of the game. It's actually that's a very sort of, for me, that kind of excites me that that fans are drawn to players that exemplify or epitomise the potential beauty of the game. And Grealish does that, doesn't he? He sort of plays in a way that's like there's a regard for beauty.
Yes.
And that's like more commonly associated with art. And then we get to, I feel like, sort of almost like Norman Mailer territory, when Norman Mailer writes about sport, or when any good writers like Foster Wallace write about tennis, that you're dealing with something that is akin to art, like live art in a way. And so I think it's very encouraging that people that do it not just well in a sort of a brutally pragmatic, systemic, this is the most, this person has been well nourished since they were born in a crate. Not necessarily a crate, that wouldn't work, but sort of.
That's why you get the Gaza comparisons, don't you, with Grealish? I think it's because of that uncertainty of not knowing what he's going to do, and carrying the whole team on his shoulders, which it seems, stat wise, that Grealish does at Villa. I think that's why so many fans are worried about him leaving, because the games in which he plays, they win most of, and the games which he doesn't play, they lose most of. But yeah, he's got something special that at the moment everyone seems to love. And I think one of the criticisms probably of Southgate during the Euros was that Grealish didn't play enough. Certainly that's what everyone was calling for, wasn't it? Get Grealish on. And then he came on, and he never really had enough time to affect games in the way that we wanted him to. We wanted him to have the Gaza U96 moment, didn't we? And he didn't get that opportunity, but hopefully he will in the future. But yeah, I think it looks like he is going to City. That's the thing. It looks like, from the transfer news that I'm looking at the moment, it looks like Kane
might get stuck there after he's not gone to training. Yeah. He's embarrassed himself.
Yeah, that's it. That he won't go because 160 million is too much even for City, apparently, and therefore they will get Grealish. But yeah, I mean, Kane not going is a big story, because he's lived off this kind of gentleman status, hasn't he, at Spurs? The kind of doing things the right way, and always speaking well, and always being first to do interviews, and to not turn up for training. That's a move. That is a move.
Yeah. It's seen as a sort of a transgression against the kind of protocols and stuff. Yeah, people banging on about Hoydonk at Forest and that kind of thing.
Yeah, Hoydonk, of course.
Like, this is a thing, right? Like in Moneyball, like the whole idea behind the sort of Moneyball was like people, when they were buying players, were being seduced by things that were sort of a bit irrelevant. Like, he's gorgeous. like the things that didn't play out. And the whole point of analytics, data analytics, and what the extreme point that it's reached now is that you can say, like, we need this kind of left back that makes these kind of passes, these kind of runs, this kind of coverage, that tracks back in this sort of way. Here are the 200 to consider in world football. Right, well, let's narrow it down to an age group. Let's narrow it down. Like. So I wonder with someone like Kane or Grealish. Of course, the statistics speak for themselves, and like at this point, with technology being as advanced as it is, you're not going to get someone just because they're really handsome. I feel like wasn't there someone called Danny once? And I think
West Ham, wasn't he?
I think he did. He was really handsome.
Yeah, he was so handsome. But apparently, I read something about him literally yesterday. Apparently, he didn't like football. That was the headline of the article, was what happened to Danny, the talented genius who didn't like football.
I don't really actually like it. That's the problem. Yeah. But you're so good. Don't you, Danny? I don't like it either. It's stupid, isn't it? Don't even make sense. So with Grealish or Kane, I wonder if you do get seduced by the sort of stories and narratives, whether there's any sort of room for that. Certainly when fans don't cheer for statistics unless that statistic is a goal. They're cheering for that sort of that element that's hard to define, that reified space of kind of magic. And what I like about in particular someone like Gazza or George Best or the sort of the self-destructive ones is I think it's a religious idea, because it's like, oh my God, it just landed there.
Yeah.
Like Mozart or something. Certainly Mozart as portrayed in Amadeus. When I talk about Mozart, I'm not talking about I've gone to a special school and I've studied his biography and his music. I'm going, in the film Amadeus, brilliant. He's a genius who talks about farts.
Yeah.
There, and this other geezer thinks I should have been better than him because I don't talk about farts and I've really been trying my hardest. Yeah. And I think let's say, like, I've read a bit about Grealish, like his dad's a plasterer, and like Jack Grealish has always played the same. And like, what about I think Wayne Rooney? I think after he'd signed for United, like they caught him playing football in the park or something. Like, hold on a minute, you can't do that anymore, mate. Like sort of playing lovely, against you, sort of because I suppose that's what ultimately draws us into this game, what holds us connected, is it's don't matter how much you muddy it with money, it still somehow remains a conduit to something that is ineffable and beautiful. And whoever you are and however you talk about it, it captures you in the same way. It's a pull on your sort of heart, on your spirit. And then when there's something like that tournament, it captures a whole nation. And then for a significant percentage of the population all of the time, or with club football, it's just a constant in your life. It's a way of charting your life, of understanding your life. Can you think of it as a forgive me, Hull fan, what are the sort of the moments for you that felt like the most sort of where you feel most held by the game, and the things that sort of players and moments that sort of epitomise your relationship?
There are kind of two sides to my history of supporting Hull, which is like growing up as a kid and teenager. Hull were bottom division, and that's what when I started supporting Hull as a kid, it was, I'm going to see this third division side. It was like, you get used to it. You go to Boothry Park, it's such an old school stadium, next to a shopping centre, supermarket, sorry. It's it's old school football, it's terraces, it's all of that. And then the very quick adjustment, really, in a matter of a few years, from moving to a big new stadium that looked like a shiny, proper football stadium, and then ending up in the Premier League through this amazing series of promotions. That it's kind of
So there was that time, was there?
There was a time where they did two in a row, and then a couple of years later another one, and then you find yourself in the Premier League, and it's baffling, actually, as a supporter of a team where you identify as being a low status football club, and so you've kind of got your heroes from the old school, the old divisions, and you've got then your kind of new Hollywood stars from the Premier League era. But there's two players that cross over there, and one is Dean Windass, who I'm always banging on about. Because he was both. He was old school. He was with Hull when we were in the bottom divisions, and then he left and he went on to better things, and he made Hull quite a lot of money. And
where did he go?
Aberdeen. We sold him to. I think it was a.
That was better things. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, exactly.
Aberdeen.
Yeah.
You better have been released from Guantanamo Bay if Aberdeen. I'm going on to better things. It's Aberdeen. Fucking hell. Where you been? Hull. Oh, come this way.
Come on, mate. Yeah, but he went for a lot of money, like close like 800,000 or something. It's like a lot of money back in those days.
Who was managing Aberdeen?
I don't even know. I'm trying to think of how.
Because it was only, I thought, the only time that Aberdeen were even competing was Ferguson time.
Exactly. I don't know who was manager. But then Windass coming back, and he saved us from relegation in the Championship, and then scored the winning goal to get us to the Premier League. I mean, you can't. That's beautiful. Folklore. That's fairy tale. That is, you can't write it. And the winning goal in the playoff final was an absolute. It's probably one of the greatest playoff final goals, if not the greatest playoff final goal ever. So it's amazing. It's
what
amazing.
Do you mean the quality of the goal? The
quality
timing,
of the goal.
Was it late in the game?
No, it wasn't late. I think it was second half, from what I remember, kind of 60-ish minutes. But the goal itself was a beautiful volley. It was, I think the commentary was textbook from Dean Windass. It was perfection. So yeah, he straddles the two, sides of the old Hull and the new Hull, and now we're kind of back in middle ground Championship. But it would be Windass, and then Nick Barmby was the other one.
Oh yeah, Nick
and that
Barmby.
was beautiful as well.
That was after Spurs, wasn't it?
Yeah.
He came to Hull.
Well, he'd done the big teams. He'd done Spurs, Liverpool, Leeds, and then he came to Hull, and he dropped down a couple of divisions. And
why did he do it?
Because he's from Hull. He's from Hull, and he had a. I guess he was sold a dream. This was very much when Hull was starting to be on the up again of getting promoted and the new stadium and things. And I guess he bought into that, and it worked. He went up the division, got us to the Premier League. We had a bit of an unfortunate time as Hull manager when we got relegated again. But it's another everyone loves a hometown.
Has any Hull player ever written a biography called To Hull and Back?
Surely has happened, isn't it? I mean, I've got lots of.
Dean Windass should write that.
He should.
You could ghostwrite it. Should ask him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be the best choice.
If you met Dean Windass...
Yeah, I have met him once outside the ground. I didn't know what to say to him.
Well, I'm not surprised.
No.
What did you say?
I just think I said, all right, Dean.
Keep it simple,
you got to keep it simple. I've decided these days that's the way to do it.
Keep it simple. Because of your history of, which we've talked about on our other radio shows in the past, the list is Jack Black, when you said about the coat.
Yeah.
Mark Noble, given this is a football podcast, when you said you was decent when he was on loan, and Mark Noble went, "Oh, decent," didn't he?
He did. He was
not added that.
No,
he was put out.
He was put out by it. He definitely was, because I explained my justification is that he was injured most of the time he was at Hull, and basically I wanted to say you played for Hull. This basically what was behind it was,
if you had to time again.
I guess what I wanted to get across was you played for Hull and I support Hull. It's basically a connection.
That's what you should have done, like how Rain Man would have handled it.
That's it.
I support Hull.
Yeah.
Like very simple, like as if you were meeting a tribe that have not yet met anyone from the Western cultures. I support Hull.
You played for Hull on loan.
Yes, I did. At least, while that is a boring exchange, and no one would query that, it's not offensive.
It's not offensive, no. I basically wanted a reason to say something to him and to form some kind of, momentary connection. Because obviously you were like best mates with him, and I was just sat there in the West Ham lounge, not really knowing what to say to this person.
Actually, I felt nervous as well. And I felt nervous for a number of reasons. One is, of course, I feel nervous when I'm talking to footballers because they're sort of young. And then I feel weird about that. I feel weird about
it feels
admiring.
like they should be older.
Yeah, they should be the age of your dad. And but they're not now. I'm the age of my dad. And they're the age of me then. So what's going on? Is this some sort of crazy time machine?
It's so strange that, though, as an idea, that footballers now, we still think of them as older than us. I think you always will.
On the telly and watching it, you can still somehow pull it off. I suppose this one is the same. But then because I've been, I suppose, fortunate enough to have met players, like you see them, they're like little lads.
Yeah.
Like, but if you met them in normal life, say at a shopping centre, or you just were walking down a road, you'd go, all right, mate, are you okay? You lost? You want any money? Are you okay? Sit still. Right, now I'll help you. Now.
How much do you earn? What?
I don't know. Every single week that goes by, 7 days, it's Sunday, and then like 7 more days go by. What have you got? £1 million. That's too much. That's how much you get during that time, £1 million.
But are you lost?
Yeah, I don't know where my mum is. I don't know where she's gone. Well, she'll turn up, mate, because she'll want some of that money sooner or later.
Spiritually.
Ravel Morrison
Troubled Ravel Morrison.
Troubled Ravel Morrison. Oh, I loved him. I loved him at West Ham. I really had high hopes. I thought he was going to like pull through, and who knows yet. But isn't he somewhere weird like Lazio? I mean, it's something weird happened to Ravel Morrison.
They ended up at Sheffield United, and I have a feeling he's at Derby, or he's on loan at Derby, or he's trialling at Derby.
Well, surely Wayne Rooney.
I think he played a friendly the other day.
Steward him through any potential pitfalls. Yeah. But like when I met Ravel Morrison, he was like a little lad, and he gave me a shirt.
Oh,
he gave me a shirt.
They are sweet, aren't they?
And then I think I left it somewhere, and then I think I've got it back again. I think I left it in a cab, but luckily the cab driver, I was able to get back in touch.
This is brilliant.
Anyway,
any more Russell stories?
Now,
leaving stuff in cabs,
and I've called up, of course, the central office. Now they do have a line for lost property. Thankfully, it's a very interesting system. Yeah. So they do look like little lads, but they're adored little lads. And let's face it, what we're dealing with is kind of worship. While you were talking about Dean Windass there, mate, Carly the dog was one of the. If you think of the interruptions,
you're saying this is Dean Windass.
Well, she does fart a lot, and and I sort of just in my mind, that's what I was thinking.
Right.
A bit like how you go around famous people.
Yeah, right.
Like something kicks into your mind that you can't control no more, isn't it, mate?
Absolutely right.
Like you see Mark Noble, I'm from Hull. You played from Hull.
Yeah.
How shall I translate this? You didn't perform correctly or to my standards.
I think I said to him, "Oh, you were at Hull," and he went, "That's right." And I said, "Yeah, you were." And in the moment, I remember thinking, "You've got nowhere to go with this, Gareth, have you? You have got nowhere to." As soon as you say you were, then that's it. It's over. Because what I should have said is, it's a shame that you were injured, because we'd have loved to see more of you. Because
that would have been nice.
Because we were all very excited when you joined.
What about this? As a person from lowly Hull, it was an honour, a singular honour, to have a man of such distinction grace our city. And I can't believe it even is a city, to be honest, doesn't deserve to be, to have you there.
Hang on, who is this?
This is you. This is you saying this to Mark Noble. Is there anything I can offer you in the way of gratitude for that, for the grace you brought to our city?
Yeah, I think it was a loan cut short in the end due to the actual injury. So the moment of me saying you were and wanting to give him a compliment, there wasn't a compliment because he hardly played because he was injured, and I couldn't say you were injured, although it would have been better. It would have been better to say you were at Hull, you were injured. Whereas I said you were decent, because I was trying to still compliment him whilst realising that I couldn't compliment him. And the word decent just didn't work at all.
The word decent is offensive.
It is. It's one of those words that shouldn't be, but
it's a microaggression. Is what you did there.
Yeah.
You aggressed against Nobes.
Yeah. And he didn't just brush it off, did he? Yeah, you could tell he was put out by it.
Nobes don't do the brush off.
No.
He's a confrontational, box-to-box midfielder.
Yeah.
And if you say he's decent, I mean, yeah, it's weird that he didn't just let that slide.
He didn't just let it slide. Yeah, he did look put out. And the thing also is that it wasn't just one of these, one season wonders or whatever. He's a legend, isn't he, for West Ham?
Well, yes.
So I've offended a West Ham legend.
Just to see if should I see if he answers his phone?
Oh, this would be it.
Let's see if he does. If not, I'll just leave a message.
Is it working?
When I put Mark Noble into my phone, it comes up on Wikipedia instead of on. because I don't know Mark Noble. Well, ring him on WhatsApp. I've got better signal than I think you give me credit for.
No, it's not you.
It's me.
It's you.
Not again.
What do you mean by this?
I just think when I tested it with Gareth, it just sounded better. But
it sounds better. All right, I'll try. But no one answers a WhatsApp call.
I always answer WhatsApp calls.
It doesn't even ring. Yeah. In fact, he's not responded to the last message. So this is a singular risk I'm taking.
Can you FaceTime him?
No.
You cannot. You're already on another call, my phone thinks.
Or he's on another call.
No, not Mark Noble. Me. My phone thinks I'm on another call. Why does it think that?
Can I just say
I think we should have an item called Tech Issues, I think.
Tech Issues?
In this podcast.
Jenny, you have embarrassed me.
No, not in front of celebrities.
Well, when could you have done?
Everyone would have thought it would be me.
What possible embarrassment? Right, look, I'm ringing him now.
Oh.
Let's see if he'll ring it. A lot of people don't even. I don't have ring on my phone.
Me neither.
You don't leave messages, do you, on WhatsApp?
Nope.
If I get a call from WhatsApp, it doesn't make a noise. It just like a little bar appears at the top of the. screen. I actually feel a bit nervous, do you?
Yeah, I'm really nervous.
I'm nervous. I feel nervous that he's going to pick up.
Why you've done this?
Do you know, like, I don't really... Most of the time if I ring people, I prefer them not to pick up.
Absolutely.
Why are you ringing them?
Definitely.
To leave a message. That's the voice note has saved my life.
Yeah, oh, absolutely.
No, I hate voice notes.
Why?
Oh, I much prefer voice
Because you
note.
have to listen. Text, you can read it.
Shall I leave him a
And you
message?
can read
Yeah,
a
all
text
right.
without actually clicking into it as well.
Mark, all right, mate. I'm doing a new football podcast, Russell Brand's football podcast. It's not for broadcast at this time. I'm just leaving you this message because I don't know if you remember one time, mate. We were at Upton Park in the Players' Lounge, and my mate Gareth was with me, who's a Hull fan. And like during the conversation, you may not remember this. You're a busy man. You've got a rich life. You've got a family life. You're a successful man. You're a man with a career. You're a man with a great deal of talent and charisma. You do things for your community. You're adored. You even did that thing for Barts, that Barts charity, East London Hospital. I believe you've invested in like housing for like affordable housing. What a great guy you are. In spite of this, my mate Gareth, who's a Hull fan, went, "Oh, you were at Hull for a while." And well, Gareth, what did you say?
Yeah, I said you were on loan with us. You were decent, and I didn't mean that. What I meant to say, as I told Russell, I was just trying to establish a connection in that moment. And what I should have said was, I support Hull. You were on loan at Hull for a while. Isn't it a shame you were injured for you, but also for us? And that's what I should have said.
So let's just set the record straight, Mark. That's what should have happened. And like, obviously, this won't be broadcast without your consent, even though at the moment it doesn't. Like, we could just be saying this into a
We've
baked
never got
bean
into
tin.
trouble with voicemails before.
Voicemails is one of the territories where I thrive, where I absolutely thrive. So just I'll make sure that I have your permission, and I offer you nothing but respect, Mark. And I love you both as a footballer and as a man. Get back to me if you want to, and perhaps you can participate in this new podcast.
Oh, wow.
Going forward, if you've not busy being a professional elite athlete. Right, lots of love, Mark. Bye bye. Right, I've sent that now. I've sent it. I could have put it in that little bin, couldn't I? It could have gone. I don't like the way it spins itself out.
Like it's still deciding.
Maybe I will. Maybe I won't.
You better go in that.
You better get in that bin. Right, now it's double ticked. We're not blue ticked. I say, Mark, no, are they back for pre-season training, do you reckon? Or do you think they're...
Yeah, I definitely think they are. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, because Harry Kane didn't go.
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, Harry.
So he's probably in training right now. And
oh, my God, he's in training.
He'll get that, when he finishes.
West Ham ain't really signed, though. Sorry.
Well, yeah, sure. I mean, we could discuss signings, actually. Or just West Ham, how you feel about West Ham this season?
Well, I feel all right, but I feel like this will be a disappointing season.
This is it. I mean, can it be better than last season? What's the only way it can be better, surely, is Europe.
Declan Rice might leave at some point.
Yeah.
Not yet, most likely end of season. Jared Bowen.
Liverpool. Have you heard the rumour?
Yeah, I've heard that rumour.
I mean,
I don't want that to happen.
No, I don't want it to happen.
Hull player, former Hull player. At
I
West
adore
Ham.
Jared Bowen. He's after Windass and Barnby. I think he's next.
Really?
He was.
Well, then he scored a lot for you.
He scored a lot of goals. We were
coming in from wide, cutting in inside forward style.
Absolutely. Yeah, he wasn't even a striker. He scored absolutely tons. I think he's a brilliant player. Loved seeing. We were a one-man team basically for a couple of seasons with him. He scored an absolute ton, and I was very glad that he went to a team like West Ham rather than someone else. I don't want him to go to Liverpool. I mean, obviously for him, I want the best for Jared Bowen. Of course, I love Jared Bowen. I really do. But I love him at West Ham. I think it's great, and I was worried whether or not he would, acclimatise to the Premier League, but he seemed to immediately. He's been a good signing for them. I know he's on the bench quite a lot these days.
Yeah, but I think he's going to start more this season. I'd just like to say I'm quite shallow, and say with like Moyes, when we lost to Newcastle first game of the season, I was like, this is never going to work. What's the point? We've gone backwards. We shouldn't have given Moyes a job. It's a retroactive game. And then by the end of the season, I was like, David Moyes is a genius.
Absolutely.
And how he's treated by Manchester United was disgusting.
Yep.
And what chance did he have at Sunderland? And that was an anomaly. What happened in Seville? Let's support, applaud, and love David Moyes, who during the early stages of the pandemic took personal time out to deliver fruit and veg to the elderly. What a guy.
Yeah, I'm really happy for Moyes, actually. You're right, because West Ham's the only other team he's had that is a good fit other than Everton.
Yeah.
For Moyes. The rest of the teams that he's been at just weren't the right fit. Why go to Sunderland? I was doomed. You could never. It must have been the thought of, and I think it was for a lot of managers with Sunderland, I can save this team. But They couldn't. None of them could.
You can't save Sunderland.
No.
Although what's happening in Sunderland now? Because since I've not watched Sunderland Till I Die, which is an amazing show,
Yeah,
I don't know what they're doing anymore.
they're League One still. They're looking. They'll probably come up this season. I mean, it's looked like that for the last few seasons, but they probably will.
They signed Will Grigg.
They did.
Because of a good song, I think.
That's what going back. We've gone full circle now to signing players for the wrong reasons.
Many times we've gone full circle. We went full circle with WhatsApp. We went full circle with Kane and training. You don't appreciate me, even though you're probably my longest term collaborative partner. And you over there, Irish woman, you don't appreciate me.
Your full circles.
My full circles go unacknowledged.
Yeah, that's another item.
Russell Brand's full circles.
Maybe that's the name of the podcast.
Full circle. Full time.
Full time circle.
90 minutes. We've got to come up with a title.
You need a title soon.
Yeah, we will think of a title, Jen. Don't worry. Why do you have some faith in me? I come up with full circles. I will come up with one. What's that full circle we just come up with?
What's that we've done?
Signing people for the wrong reasons.
Wrong reasons.
Will Grigg was just because of Will Grigg's on fire.
Yeah, brilliant song.
That got used in the Euros, didn't it?
Yeah.
Someone else, what was it used for?
Oh, I don't
Grealish, no, Sterling's on fire. The defence is terrified. I think they used it for Sterling in the Euros. The Atomic Kitten one,
Yeah,
that was interesting. The Atomic Kitten, they jumped on that.
They did,
Quick
yeah.
Smart. What? hang on, we're going to do
who's got a studio? Any studio will do.
Well, it's not really a studio. This is a hospital. What's that ventilator doing? Southgate, you're the one. They jumped on it, didn't they, mate?
Yeah, well, I don't blame them.
Who would blame them? I liked it. I've got nothing against
I loved
Atomic
it.
Kitten. It was a good song.
Actually, I was away in Scotland for a week, and I had heard Atomic Kitten were trending and stuff, and I thought, just because of the song again, and didn't realise they'd actually re-recorded it. And then when we were in the car on the way back from Scotland, the song came on, and I was absolutely loving it. It was brilliant.
What, their one?
Their one.
They redone
their
one.
new
They
one.
made it about Southgate. When Elton John sort of goes, this could Marilyn Monroe, Diana, who cares?
They interchangeable.
Same sort of thing.
Yeah, they did it. They re-recorded it, and
they go, Southgate, you're the one.
Yeah, you still turn me on,
That's
which is
the
a weird
problem
thing
with it, isn't it?
But I think
you still turn me on. You might think Southgate that
Yeah.
you'd stop turning me on, but you haven't.
You haven't.
I'm turned on right now.
You thought there was a moment when you stopped being attractive to me.
What do you think they mean, the fans, when they're saying you still turn me on?
I think that's the kind of
Like, we like you.
No, I think that's what the fans appreciate about it, and
It's
that's
funny.
That's where all the best football.
But there's some sort of funny kink in it.
Absolutely.
Like it's not quite right.
It's not quite right, and we like it because of that.
Yeah. You still turn me on. It's so funny to say that to Southgate. Oh, thank you. I'm glad. Because I think Gareth Southgate would be very good in his relationship with his wife, talking about the ups and downs of it. Gareth, you do still turn me on. Well, good. That's important in a marriage. We've got to keep that side of our marriage alive.
Yeah.
His wife's probably called Rebecca or something. Rachel's, I guess. Karen, no, this is not Karen's loaded. Rachel, Rebecca.
Yeah. Which I'm sure she's lovely.
I'll tell you how I know. Get ready for a full circle, bitches. How you know that
It's about marriage.
marriage isn't working. No, like how you know that my cut-off method doesn't entirely work. If I hear Sweet Caroline, I feel a bit fucking pissed off.
I saw it on William Hill are using it on their adverts for a betting app. How awful is that? I've been furious. I watched because I'm watching Love Island at the moment.
Are you?
Yeah, I am. I decided.
Why?
Yes, so am I.
I feel like I need something.
I didn't get into it this time.
I need something to
Me too.
something to live
obsess over, like I did the football. It's like the equivalent.
I've done it before. I've done the one that Danny Dyer's daughter was in.
Yeah.
Danny
Dyer. Yeah. I know.
What was her name? Then
I didn't think I'd do it this year.
I love Love Island. It's great.
brilliant.
But mate, the suicides. I mean, it's just too much.
Yeah, we probably shouldn't. We've already done terrorism. I think.
This is the point of this podcast. Is let's get onto some safe territory. Right. Firstly, racism. Yeah, you're right. Oh, all right. So you've gone into Love Island.
Yeah.
But what was you saying? Oh, in my full circles is
in the ad breaks, because they know who's watching this show. They know it's like, I mean, it probably shouldn't be people like me, but there's a demographic of people, and so William Hill betting adverts, and they use Sweet Caroline, and I'm like, How dare you?
Not right.
How
it's too
dare
soon.
you? It's too soon.
Too soon.
You can't do that. They wouldn't use 3 lines, I don't think. But Sweet Caroline...
It's too embedded.
It's too embedded. But Sweet Caroline exists in that, its association with...
It has its life beyond, and yet it's still deeply... I mean, I enjoyed the spontaneity of that. I feel like I've got a vague memory of Sweet Caroline. Like, do you know who I think is responsible for the reappropriation of Sweet Caroline? Peter Kay. I think that Peter Kay done it in, like Peter Kay does them sort of things where he's singing with Paddy McGuinness and that, and he does like Road to Amarillo or whatever.
Yeah.
And like, no, is that not right?
I think it is actually.
And like he's got that skill, and Peter Kay, he knows the people.
He's in touch with the people. He's a man of the people.
He's the man of the people.
Yeah, he is. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
But yeah, so
Sweet Caroline shows that my heart is not yet mended.
Train tracks.
The train tracks are dangling over that cliff. The metal is wrought and buckled.
Yeah, I have to mute it or turn it off. I mute it normally because I'm thinking I don't want to...
I always mute the adverts.
Yeah.
Firstly, they turn it up a bit, and I've never agreed with that.
They do.
They turn it up a bit, don't they?
How can that be?
Allowed.
Allowed.
Just turn up my telly a bit. No. Also, there's not enough contrast. Do you leave them buttons alone? They're for me. Brightness, contrast. Don't do that no more. It used to be the little green line. Used to be a dial before that. It's all gone. All gone.
It's the original spyware or AI or something, isn't it? Turning the adverts up.
Turning the adverts up. Use Davos. Oh, look, we're straight. Well, look, did you want to say anything to wrap up this debut episode of Russell Brand's Full Circle or Russell Brand's Football Podcast, title to be confirmed?
It's been meandering, hasn't it? Certainly. But what I think
Don't say that about it.
Well, I think that's what we were searching for. What is this podcast? And I think ultimately, rather than actual analysis, this is analysis of the feelings behind football.
No human can. No human can provide analysis anymore.
No.
Like what can, because computers do that now. What are we going to do? Get an algorithm in and say, this is we've run a simulation 100 times. This is what it's going to look like if you sign Jack Grealish. Sign Jack Grealish.
Yeah.
We've done a simulation. They do that, we read The Athletic, don't we?
We do.
I love The Athletic because it's good, isn't it?
It's absolutely brilliant.
And they will say, they run simulations. They know that City are going to win the league. We've run these simulations. If they get Kane, out of every 100 simulations we run, and I don't know, man, because that's that other side of football. The idea of the first team will be the team that's got the most money. The second team will be the team that's got the second most money.
And it's always that.
So that means that we're all just engaged in some sort of mechanistic carousel of meaninglessness. Now that's the opposite of the beauty and glory that Grealish brings to the pitch. Chaos, magic, glory of the game.
Well, look, maybe we should end on a positive.
Should we?
We could say what we're most looking forward to about the new season, potentially.
Go on, then. You say what you are.
I know the standard response will be fans being back. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know how you feel about that. I mean, obviously,
I do like it better.
Yeah, it is better.
Are you going to go to anything?
That's the thing is, who
the Hull come down here and play?
So QPR, I'll try and go to. I like to go. Millwall.
Is it Loftus Road still, or is that not what it is?
I don't know. I think it is. Old school.
Millwall.
Stadium. Millwall. I live really near Millwall Stadium. I can walk to Millwall Stadium.
Is it
unfortunately?
Is it a new den now?
Yeah, I think it is.
But is it the same sort of vibe?
Absolutely the same.
Mostly, football is being sanitised, and some areas that's good, and a lot of areas that's bad. Millwall's still pretty much Millwall.
It really is.
I back myself to be able to go into environments and mostly sort of judge, speak the correct dialects. I wouldn't go hanging out around there.
No.
Not just because I'm a West Ham fan and there's historic hatred between the two clubs, just because I think people would be very, you just might get one planted on the old mush without too much chitter-chatter.
Although, what I will say, living where I do, you do see a lot of Millwall fans on match day. And it's nice feeling. You see them outside pubs and stuff. And
nice.
You're like, oh yeah, I remember this.
Match day.
Match day.
I lived near Highbury for a while when Highbury was Arsenal's ground.
Yeah.
It was nice.
It's nice. It's a nice
feeling.
Fans
go by.
And I've never seen any trouble ever. So, it's a kind of they've got this, stigma, really, haven't they?
They certainly have, mate. I was in Reading the other day, and I see all their fans going by.
Yeah.
That was a nice feeling.
It's nice.
It's a nice feeling.
Yeah.
Football is nice.
So I think...
Is that the high note you wanted?
Yeah, that's it. Football is nice. We've got our title.
It's quite good. That's probably the best one, but I do think it should be me. No. Yeah. Go on, what else are you looking forward to? You're looking forward to the return of fans. Fans are nice.
I think that's it. I mean,
that's it. That's what you're going to say.
What?
You're not bothered about kits?
For me, kits, I did before in prep for this, I went through all the new kits.
Who's his best?
They're all awful. They're all
awful, even West Ham.
There's nothing.
I'm getting a new West Ham one. They send them.
There's no kit that's better than last season's, in my opinion.
All kits have gone down.
They've all gone down.
Like, say, when like, on TalkSport they have Paddy Power on and going about bets.
Yep.
All kits are down.
They're all down.
Oh no,
in my
opinion, are down.
There were some real classic kits last year, and they're terrible this year. And have you seen the new sponsor for United?
Oh yeah, I don't like the look of that. It doesn't even make sense. Teamcast or something.
It's what the hell
does that mean?
That's not. They're not going to win the Premier League. I honestly
can't win with that.
That's it. I think it affects the mentality of the players.
We've got Jadon Sancho. We've got Varane. What's your sponsor?
Yeah.
I didn't even like it when they went to Chevrolet.
Chevron. Was it Chevron?
Isn't Chevron's oil, Chevrolet's cars? I mean,
that's what it is. You're right. It's Chevrolet. Yeah.
It should be an English. Oh no. Oops, steady. Should be sort of a household thing.
There needs to be some
Crown Paints.
Crown Paints. Yeah. It's an established.
Mind you, that's who owns Sharp.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know if
probably
it's
always
anymore.
been an illusion.
Speaking of kits, do you know that Watford's kit was bought? The money has been paid through cryptocurrency. The first time it's happened.
Yeah.
What do you mean?
So they're being paid for with crypto. I actually wrote it down here.
You did some prep, did you, mate?
I've done loads of prep, mate. We haven't got onto any of it. Watford sponsorship deal with Stake.com paid for with cryptocurrency. Scott Duxbury, the club's chairman and CEO, said the deal
He used to be at West Ham, Scott Duxbury. I used to sit next to him sometimes when I used to get hospitality.
Well, he should have given you some tips on
cryptocurrency. We could all be doing this from a great big tower in Dubai.
Yeah, he should have told you then. I think they're late to the party. He said it's worth $5 million a season and was indicative of Watford's commitment to innovation, which I like.
We're committed to innovation. Get some good players.
Yeah.
Oh, Watford Championship? Or
no, they've got promoted, so they're back.
Who's come up? Watford, Brentford?
Norwich.
Yellow. Red. I see, there's a pattern. Why did you put your hands up for Norwich, Jen?
That's my team.
You've supported Norwich now?
Yes.
Why? Because you live near there.
Yeah, and my room's colour scheme is the same as the kit.
Yellow and green?
Yeah.
Your room's yellow and green?
My curtains are green and my bed's yellow.
Your curtains are green?
Mustard yellow.
And what about you've got red hair, yellow curtains?
But I'm not part of the room's colour scheme.
Well, you are when you're in there, and that's the only time you know what's going on.
I've got an orange sofa.
That's a terrible clash, Jen.
No,
you need to have a designer come around your house. Yes, Jen.
No.
Yes, Jen.
It looks great. You'd like it.
Your house. It's 2.5 hours away, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but I come here every week. You come to an art game.
Carrow Road.
Delia Smith.
Owned by Delia Smith. It's nice to see a club owned by someone that you go, oh, yeah.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
Like Elton John,
English, isn't she?
when it was Watford.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And Lotus is English too, isn't it? That's their sponsor, isn't it?
Lotus.
Delia Smith is English.
Lotus.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know who sponsors.
It's Lotus, isn't it? The car.
Oh, the car. Okay.
Lotus.
Yeah.
That seems flashy.
Car. The sports car. That's because the factory is in Norfolk.
Well done,
We've got
Jen.
our Norwich expert.
You can, over the course of the podcast, perhaps you could nearly help us chart Norwich's travails.
Daniel Fark.
Tim Krul.
Yeah, Tim Krul. Yeah.
Tim Krul.
That's all I know.
Daniel Fark. Yeah, they've got a lot of associated names that will sound good in your voice. And it's not just the accent, Jen, it's the whole voice. Now, Jen, you're producing this podcast. Are you going to add some... Listen, I'm thinking musical beds.
Yeah.
I'm thinking jingles and not cliches, Jen. Not like, not like half time, Betway.
Do you want some like jazz or something?
Well, Gareth did a podcast with jazz
Gareth
in.
do some French horn jingles and then load them into the
Don't put more
box.
pressure on Gareth. He's
Why
talent.
am I getting the pressure?
Because you're the producer, and that's the role. The pressure. I'm talent. I shouldn't even be having this conversation. But what I want is like, I reckon it doesn't need to be like half time.
No.
You're bloody rubbish. Like it could be like interesting. Like I say, find some sound bites from interesting from football lore. You know, could even I would love it. I'd bloody love it. You know, Wouldn't
I
imagine
would love
just
it.
dropping that in.
What's
Or
that? What's
maybe
that?
like Jurgen Klopp.
That'd be amazing.
Like drop in little sound bites. We're gonna have to help her with this.
We are, yeah.
Like that. Love it is Kevin Keegan, and then you could have squeaky bum time.
When do you want them to say those things?
I don't know. You just drop them in like Midnight Miracle. Like
We want to be Midnight Miracle for football.
and you could have a music bed, Jen, in places as well, Jen. This is producing.
This is post-production, isn't it? This.
If we moved into
I
post-production,
think we have. Yeah.
Yeah.
Should we
Yeah.
wrap up with a quick prediction for winning the league?
well, it's Manchester City. Like you can just look at a thing.
Yeah.
I bet on Athletic, it's like how will the league table finish,
Yeah.
and it will just tell you.
It's Man City, isn't it? We know.
Man City will win the league. Liverpool, like I saw this thing where like the chance of United winning it goes up significantly if they buy that French midfielder. He's only 18 years old. I think he's at Lille or something like that at the moment. It's just some young French lad, but he's double good.
Right.
And his stats stack up. If they buy him, United could win the league as well as that. He was like in the analytics that I read. He said if they get him as well as Varane and Sancho.
I'm hearing a lot of good things about Varane in terms of what.
Thank you for doing the polite correction.
Varane. I mean, maybe
It's Varane. Yeah, Varane.
I mean, it might be. Yeah, I don't know. I've heard.
I think you're right.
Varane.
I'm going to back you.
Apparently, he's got the speed that they say
Of a leopard.
Maguire that Maguire lacks.
Lacks.
So they're going to complement each other really well. So they're saying United's back four is looking very good.
I am fast and you are slow. My head's massive. Me, I say no. Varane, Maguire. Sure.
End with a song.
All right, so Wan-Bissaka,
Yeah,
Shaw, and then
those two. It's interesting. United will be very interesting to watch this season. For me, City, you'd say should win the league. Chelsea, I mean, if they don't win the league, it's a step back because they won the Champions League last season. If they get a striker, they've just missed out on Lukaku apparently, but they could push that through if they offer more. Liverpool, so much dependent on if they can. I mean, they're not really bought. They've got the Konate, but it's about whether Van Dijk coming back can makes the difference or not. I'm not sure if it can with City, especially obviously if they buy Kane and Grealish. United are the really interesting ones. And actually, I used to, as a kid watching football, I used to hate United.
You're supposed to hate
Absolutely
United.
hated United. But now there's something to do with Ole, something to do with the fact that they're not always going to win everything, and there is an intrigue in. Can they get back? Can they challenge City? I don't know. I'm very excited to see Sancho.
Yeah.
And the story would be an interesting one.
I like the stories. That's what I like.
Yeah.
Like I've never, especially other than that bit at the beginning with City when it was like Robinho.
Yeah.
I'd never liked the City story. I've always sort of known some City fans. I don't like it. And
It's kind of like I still don't like the Chelsea story.
I've never liked the Chelsea story. No. And and I'm not mad about Spurs for sort of West Ham related reasons, but but teams like Liverpool, I don't hate Liverpool. I don't I actually feel quite affectionate towards Liverpool, and I hated United like everybody, but now I feel like it'd be interesting.
Yeah, it would.
Because there is a sort of, unless you're mad, you recognise that the teams like West Ham are not going to be participating in the sort of, that's why it's sort of weird when we were still towards the end of the season competing for top four places. So I just like watching stories unfold, and I'm honest enough to admit that, because some people you're meant to just sort of blindly hate all the time.
Yeah, exactly. And look, if the same happened, if City suddenly lost all their riches, and it's not like I'm not against Man City doing well per se, but it's the idea of the kind of buying success ultimately, isn't it? And you could obviously argue that United have spent an absolute fortune.
Yeah.
It's more the manager side of things, isn't it? And Ole coming back and being quite maligned by everyone, and the idea that he could then go and win the Premier League would be kind of crazy. When
you feel like that, what's behind the club, if the club is like the visible tip of the iceberg or whatever, if behind it is like a nation of limitless wealth, I mean, in point of fact, why not spend 160 million on? What difference does it make if you're a country?
Yeah. Well, if they're going to quibble over 60 million, it's a strange one for Man City, seeing as they have. I mean, obviously there's a financial fair play, but that's not. Come on, that doesn't actually.
Got away with it last time.
Exactly. Don't make any difference.
Yeah. Is it that they think it would just be so vulgar?
Yeah. Yeah. This would just look too bad.
This is like, yeah, go having him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we've covered that. So you think Chelsea, yeah, they've got to turn up under Tuchel.
Yeah,
I like him, all nice and
I like
thin.
Tuchel. Yeah,
nice and thin. And
doesn't look like he should be a football manager, does he?
Looks odd in a tracksuit. It's been a while since we've had one of them. It's like old school, like when Graham Taylor or something.
Yeah, you're right. Well, Klopp does it. He had a real image change, Klopp, coming from Germany to Liverpool. Even at Liverpool.
Did he?
Well, he started off at Liverpool wearing like jumpers and ties and trousers and things.
And then he went full
And then he's gone
sportswear,
full
leisure
sportswear.
wear.
Yeah, and he actually looks much better now. He's got a real style about him.
Good style.
Yeah.
Never been mad about Guardiola's jumper thing.
No.
Cardi jumper thing.
No, I don't think Guardiola pulls it off fashion-wise, personally. I know a lot of people say, "Oh, he
do more."
Yeah, I think he hasn't quite nailed it yet.
Shame about Mourinho, really, because now he's gone to Roma, and now we don't have him. And like, I know people don't like his sort of attitude, but I like it.
Yeah.
I think he says things that stick in the mind.
That he does.
Like the idea of using Einstein as a term. That's been, people have always said that from at school. All right, Einstein. But when he said these Einsteins, it really sort of stuck. He knows how to sort of needle people, doesn't he?
He really does. Yeah. He knows how to play the media, ultimately, doesn't he? It just seems like he
doesn't know how to manage
a team anymore.
No, it's weird, isn't it? Because when it is the thing that's predicted, he's just driven all the joy out of it. It's all falling apart. And I also tell you what, that documentary, I suppose, that did make me more sympathetic towards Tottenham. Yeah. Just seeing sort of Dele Alli talking about making beans and stuff like that, and just that lad, that left back that was English.
Oh yeah, Gangay, is it?
Yeah, I can't remember his name, but we was thinking about naming a cat after him for a while. That's how into it we got.
Yeah.
So, you can change people's minds. That's the real message. Football has the power to persuade. Yeah, so we've covered that Chelsea thing. We've covered United will be interesting. Liverpool, I feel like it's sort of declined. Someone said, I see on TalkSport, someone saying that Arsenal could come second. Come on. It's ridiculous, isn't it?
No chance. That brings you back to this time last year, actually, when they won the Charity Shield. And everyone was like full of hope for...
Because they won the Charity Shield against...
Chelsea, wasn't it? Was it? No.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
It must have been...
Oh, Liverpool.
Liverpool, of course it was.
Yeah.
Liverpool, yeah. Then it came to absolutely nothing, didn't it? Do you want me to tell you my little...
Yeah, tell me the thing.
I love this about charity. Look this up beforehand.
Charity Shield. We all know the Charity Shield. It's a showpiece. Do you count it as a trophy? Mourinho always does. It seems a weird trophy because it's just one game.
And it's at the beginning of the season. Yeah, some people see it as the end of the last season, but surely it's the beginning of a season.
It's the Sunday quandary. Is Sunday the beginning of the week or is it the end of the week? Yeah. Where do you stand on this matter?
It's the football version. Anyway, I always call it the Charity Shield. That's we all do.
It's called the Charity Shield.
I didn't even know it was now called the Community Shield, and I shall tell you exactly why. So, looking this up, obviously trusted source Wikipedia, but the charity aspect on Wikipedia says, proceeds from the game are distributed to community initiatives and charities around the country. Revenue from the gate receipts and match programme sales is distributed to the 124 clubs who competed in the FA Cup from the first round onwards for onward distribution to charities and projects of their choice. This is the best bit, though. In 2002, the Charity Commission, who seem to know a lot about charity...
Wait a minute.
found that the Football Association had failed to meet its legal obligations under charity law these are the reasons, by failing to specify what money from ticket sales went to charity and delaying payments to the charities nominated.
You little snides.
Yeah, so now it's called the Community Shield.
Look, guys, the Charity Commission have had a look, and you can't really say it's a charity anymore because you're not giving the money to charities. You're not specifying how much are going to charities, and also you're not actually giving it to them. Too much time's passing. Change the name then.
Yeah.
Don't call it Charity Shield. Call it Fuck You Shield.
We've decided that money isn't going to the communities that you say it does. What should we call it now? Community Shield?
For the communities. Hey, we're the Communities Commission. It turns out that you're breaking down communities and ruining them. Until you give it a name that's actually a reflection. This is an apple juice drink. This is an apple liquid. Is there any apples in that drink? This is a green drink. Like in the end, you change the language. Yeah. They always learn the wrong lesson. Why don't you put some apples in it? Why don't you put some charity in it? I'm not putting no charity.
Change the
name. Yeah, Inequality Shield. I don't know, Gal. All right, well, I feel like we've covered the season in so much detail. But it seems a shame at 89 minutes and 34 seconds that we wouldn't make this 90 minutes in length. As a kind of temporal homage to the 90 minutes that a football match takes. It was a further example of our skill as broadcasters, the depth of research and knowledge on display here. In a crowded marketplace, where it could be argued you don't need any more white people talking about football with a maligned Irish woman very much across a channel there being mistreated by the British. It turns out that that's actually exactly what the world needs now. Is it?
Yeah.
That was 90 minutes.